gentlemen, children all ages, if anybody out there had any prospects for the Acolyte Season 2, well, I think you might have to cool your jets, ladies and gentlemen, because besides the fact that the show has been, well, measurably a loss, a bit of a failure for Disney Plus and for definitely Disney Star Wars, because you cannot deny the fact that the ratings are absolutely abysmal, and we'll be doing another video on that later. It's just not doing very well at all. The fact that they spent almost $200 million on the movie, and that's just actually the reported information that we have so far. It'll probably end up being much higher than that. And at a time when they've lost billions of dollars on this streaming service to begin with, the fact that they even let this show out is simply one of the signs that they had no content to create whatsoever, and they put it out there. And if you enjoy the Acolyte, that's perfectly fine. I don't have a problem with that. There's certain aspects of it that I actually kind of enjoyed. The actor Lee Jung-jae, who seemed to absolutely work his butt off to try to dedicate himself to Star Wars and try to embody Star Wars as much as possible, he did the work, he did the effort, he did the homework, and I really appreciate that, and I absolutely praised him for that kind of stuff in a video all by itself. But at the end of the day, you cannot deny that at some point something has to give, something has to break. And the funny part about this is even Leslye Headland, the showrunner and creator herself, when asked about a second season, actually laughed out loud, boys and girls. And if that's not an indication that she knows exactly how this is going to end up, well, boys and girls, I think we all know how things are going to go. So Leslye Headland has confirmed that a season 2 of The Acolyte has not been green lit. And this is not the first time she's mentioned something like that before, but this is the most recent example of this. And the fact that she was laughing out loud about this is absolutely insane, and should show you that, yes, she knows the writing on the wall, she knows the numbers behind the scenes, and that's why she's already in the process of moving on to other projects and working on other things. Because at the end of the day, whether you love it or not, The Acolyte has been an absolute abysmal failure according to the numbers, undoubtedly. So we're going to check out this article from That Park Place, get into all of the juicy details, and go over some of those wonderful numbers as well. But before we do, if you do enjoy our content, hit that like button, share with all your friends, and subscribe or follow if you have not already, because we are inching our way closer and closer to 800 on YouTube and Rumble, and I could not do that without every single one of you. And please leave us a comment down below if you are excited or sad about The Acolyte not getting a season 2, and what you think about the future of Leslye Headland inside of Hollywood. Also, if you're watching live, put a comment down there in the chat and let us know, which we'll read after we're done doing this. So, from thatparkplace.com and our dear, wonderful John F. Trent, Leslye Headland confirms that a season 2 of The Acolyte has not been greenlit. The Acolyte showrunner Leslye Headland confirmed again that a second season of The Acolyte has not been greenlit by Lucasfilm. In an interview with Nerdist, Headland was asked, "Do you know if you'll definitely get a season 2? She responded, "No!" No. Big laugh. Big laugh. If that's not just going, yeah, no, it's not going to happen. If you knew the truth behind the scenes of the numbers and the things that are going on, because that's the thing about this, right? We've heard the rumors, and WDW Pro is one of the most reliable sources for rumor mill stuff out there. He's got like a 92, 95, 96% success rate. He's been audited before on this kind of stuff. Like, the guy really knows what's going on. And from what he's heard is that Burbank is done with the nonsense that they've been pushing out of Star Wars, that they want to go back to a Luke-centered, Luke-focused storyline, because guess what? That's what the fans want. That's what the fans enjoy. And even though they burned most of their bridges, I would say 99% of them at this point, there are fans that would be willing to come back and give them a shot if they are willing to actually change their tune. And at the end of the day, that's the only thing they can do. They've spent billions of dollars on this franchise, not just only in acquisition, but also in development. And at the end of the day, they're at a negative overall loss, whether it be licensing, merchandising that you constantly see now at Ollie's on discount, or the fact that we ended up finding out that the movies ended up actually did lose them money. And we know that they've lost billions of dollars on streaming services. This is one of them situations where Disney Star Wars, by the numbers, has been an abysmal failure. Whether you've enjoyed it or or not does not make a difference. By the numbers, it is a complete and total loss. So, speaking of that, she then says she elaborated. She says, I have no idea. Well, not that I have no idea. I would say there are conversations, and I don't know when that will happen. I don't know when that decision will be made. Well, if pro sources are correct, I'd imagine that decision has probably already been made, and it's a big fat no. And I think Leslye already knows it, which is why she laughed out loud. But the real question is why? Why would the Walt Disney Company do this? Well, Headland probably already obviously saw a little bit of the writing on the wall beforehand because we'd heard rumors behind the scenes about this being an absolute abysmal failure. And the fact that Grace Randolph, after the latest episode, has completely and totally turned on this show should tell you everything you need to know, and that the rumors were absolutely correct about this show being an absolute hot dumpster fire. So Headland previously claimed that she did not know if a second season would be in the cards. She told Entertainment Weekly in June, I'll tell you my philosophy on first season. Something that I've noticed in the first seasons will end on what should have been the break in Act 2. She feels like it's everyone really expecting a sixth season, and I don't feel like that's a good idea. Probably not, especially considering the background of the history we've seen with Disney Star Wars, where they announce a bunch of projects and then it's cancel after cancel after cancel. Best bet is to hope you might even get well, they don't even do pilots anymore. They just greenlight entire seasons, which is why they blow hundreds of millions of dollars all of the time. But that's beside the point. Why would you expect to get anything more than that when you've seen cancellation after cancellation, or essentially just quietly never talk about a project ever again? Rogue Squadron, anyone? I think you should put everything you can into the first season, give the audience a nice resolution that feels satisfying, but enough nods to mysteries that you want to see a second season. And that makes sense. That absolutely makes sense. You don't want to leave it so wrapped up, like Obi-Wan or a standalone miniseries. There's no reason to watch the second season, but there's enough stuff in the last few episodes that you want to have answered. And so it just kind of goes on from there and goes on from there. It's just a bunch of a little talk speak. And I mean, honestly, I don't completely disagree with her on that. That's probably always a wise decision, especially in the modern era now, where the churning happens so much with these streaming services. They're constantly canceling things and just not greenlighting and then greenlighting other things. You just never know what the future of it holds. But the real question is on this is, like I said, why would Disney not continue with on this, right? I've said by the numbers, this show is an absolute failure. Well, let's get into some of this. The show is not performing well based on numbers or metrics. Nielsen recently released viewership data for the show's 2-episode premiere, revealing it only garnered 444 million minutes watched. Now, that sounds like a lot, obviously, but as you can tell here, right now, it was below almost absolutely everything. Eric, Sweet Tooth, Bridgerton, Evil, Geek Girl, Dancing for the Devil, the 7 million TikTok cult beat out the Acolyte on its premiere. Notice something else here too. Netflix / Paramount Plus, Netflix, Disney, Netflix, Paramount Plus. Notice a pattern here. There's a certain company out there that at least kind of seems to be doing it right, and it's definitely not Disney. So for comparison, Ahsoka, which arrived on Disney Plus in August of 23, had a 2-episode premiere that had 829 million watched. That's a 50% decline. 829 million minutes watched versus 488. Literally lost half of the viewership from Ahsoka, which up until now was the lowest watched Disney Plus series for Star Wars of all time. Once again, by the numbers, this show is a failure. There is one big caveat. Ahsoka's 2 episodes had a total runtime of 101 minutes compared to the Acolyte's 82 minutes. However, even if you use Disney's simple total minutes viewed divided by a total runtime, Ahsoka's viewership comes out to 8.2 million views compared to the Acolyte's 5.4 million. That's still a 34% decline. Not the direction you want to be going with your series, with your franchise. Now, is it? Once again, Star Wars on the decline. You can't deny the numbers. It gets even worse if you compare it to the Mandalorian Season 3 premiere, which I didn't even bother watching Mando Season 3, which arrived on Disney Plus in March of 23. Nielsen reported that 1-episode premiere garnered 823 million watched, like Ahsoka, with a nearly 50% decline in total minutes watched. However, it gets even more bleak when you realize the premiere episode was only 37 minutes long. Therefore, by Disney calculations, that would be 22.2 million viewers, and that's a 75.6% decline. 75% of your audience, poof, Gone. How do you maintain anything doing that? Simple answer is you can't, which once again would reaffirm and add more credence and evidence and more weight to the fact of what Pro says about Burbank demanding a change in direction over there at Disney Star Wars. Sounds like Kathleen Kennedy is getting orders from on high and won't have much of a choice anymore. The show completely fell off the top chart for streaming originals from Luminate for the week the show's sixth episode debuted. As noted by X user, now it's known, The Acolyte had less than 282 million minutes viewed, which was the amount of minutes watched by the 10th ranked Presumed Innocent, which airs on Apple TV. And who has an Apple TV subscription? I mean, honestly, let me know in the comments section if you actually do. The fact that it fell off the chart is telling, but it's unclear if the show saw an actual decline week to week. The reason being is that Illuminate reported The Acolyte brought in only 232, watched the week its fifth episode debuted. Given the lowest show clocked in at 282, it's possible The Acolyte saw its viewership increase. However, this would defy a quickly forming trend of the show. It's likely the viewership declined significantly given the total number of reviews on IMDb dropped by almost 40%. The total number of reviews per episode has correlated with Illuminate's viewership data week over week. And of course, we've talked about the audience score a million times. It is the lowest rated Star Wars product in history. It has an even lower rating than the infamous Star Wars Holiday Special. Yes, boys and girls, I don't care whether or not you like the show. By all means, enjoy it. If it's just enough for you to have a bunch of lesbian witches dancing around going, the power of one, the power of two, the power of many, with their whip lightsabers, which makes absolutely no sense, and the ridiculous destruction of canon and breaking it and not caring about it and just making out the Jedi to be more than a bunch of evil monsters. By all means, enjoy it, have your fun with it, enjoy the bait and switch, enjoy Leslye Headland's productions, and have a grand old time supporting that evil witch of all the people out there in the world. But at the end of the day, you cannot deny this show is an absolute abysmal failure, and even Leslye Headland herself is laughing at simply the idea of a second season. There is no doubt in my mind whatsoever, if this new rumors are true about the new direction Disney Star Wars is going, and they're not just going to continue trying to burn everything absolutely down to the ground, then yes, there will be no second season of The Acolyte, and by God, thank the Lord in heaven, none of us will have to suffer through ever talking about this ever again. So bye-bye, good riddance, don't let the door hit you where the good Lord spit you. And as a friendly reminder, boys and girls, everything Disney touches turns to dust. Burn, baby, burn, and they deserve it because they did it to themselves.